In this week's episode of Working with Work, it's all about simplifying your daily to-do list. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of my Working with Work series. My name is Carl Pauline, and in this week's episode I want to deal with the subject of overcomplicating your daily to-do list. Now, quite often when I am helping people with their own productivity systems, I often find that what they've done, and quite often most people have done, which I think is a good thing, is have read David Allen's Getting Things Done book. And to me, that is probably the best productivity book out there. But what I have found is that sometimes people are taking a lot of the words that he's used as in a too literal sense. And what I mean by that is there is an example in David Allen's book about changing the oil for the car. Now, basically what he does is you break it down because it's more than one step, so it becomes a project. It means ask my neighbor for the telephone number of his mechanic, and making a second task would be to call mechanic and make an appointment. Third task, take car in for service, blah, 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 blah. So you've got like 3 tasks, when actually, really, that's just one task. Maybe 2, get telephone number off my neighbor. Number 2, arrange to take car into service center. But I've got another example here, which is imagine you were trying to build a website and you wanted to download or find an image for the background of your website. And I've seen people write things like 1, find image, 2, download image, 3, crop image, 4, color correct image, 5, add text to image, 6, put image on website. You know, you don't need to do that. You're overcomplicating your to-do list. All you need is to find and create background image for website. One task. Because that one task, you're going to know exactly what needs to be done to get the image into your website so that it looks great. Now, many years ago, I used to work in the car industry. In fact, probably about 20 years ago, I used to be a car salesman. Some countries are not one of the best occupations, but actually I loved working in the car sales industry. And I was very lucky because the first car dealership that I worked in, the service center was right behind my desk. So I was able to observe how they work. Now, essentially what they had was a booking sheet, and on that booking sheet they would have all the cars that were coming in for that day and the name of the car owner. But also, when the car arrived, a blank sheet, well, it was kind of what we called a worksheet, was put into the car. Now, the worksheet contained the list of the things that was needed to be done on the car, so oil change or service, and the rest of it was blank. And that was for the mechanic to add notes. And he would have like an extra additional like little section on there with things to do, things to talk to the customer about, and it was basically a free for all. Now, in a recent video series I showed you how I would do this in Todoist, but this is essentially what you need to be doing as well. Your to-do list manager needs to tell you what to do. And if you're using a notes app, which I would highly recommend, you take the notes app and that's where you add all the things that you want to keep doing and keep adding on to a project that you're working with. So over time that note becomes a bit of a mess, but it's all your notes and it's all the things that you've done, it's all the things that you want to do. And the beauty of using your notes app for this is the notes app has much less structure than a regular to-do list manager does, so that you're not confined into lists of things to do. You've got all your notes, you can add notes, you can highlight things, you can bold things, you can make things stand out in your notes app, which you can't necessarily do in your to-do list manager. And if you keep to a simple process of your to-do list manager tells you what to do. Your notes app gives you all the details you need in order to do that project, and your calendar can be used to tell you when to do the work. And when you start keeping a nice solid barrier, hard lines between those 3 apps, your calendar, your to-do list manager and your notes app, you'll find that your life becomes much less complicated. But when you start overloading your daily to-do list and you open up today's list and it says 35 tasks, you know, it just, your mind just goes, oh, I've got 35 tasks to do. But instead, if you open up your daily to-do list and when you look at your list, you see just 10 tasks, 2 of which are your daily objectives, and you get on with them, you feel much more positive, you have a lot more energy to get those things done. And remember, in the world we live in today, you are going to get hit with so many distractions that it just is going to be impossible to do those 35 tasks. So what happens at the end of the day? You reschedule those tasks forward to the next day. So now you have 45 tasks and it keeps going forward. And when you get to Friday, you've got 75 tasks that you still need to do. It's not going to happen. So what you've got to do is to get much stricter with your to-do list manager. Keep it as simple as possible. Let it just tell you what you need to do. For example, work on project X or work on project Y, and then use your notes app to just dump all the things that you need to be doing, what you need to know, links to websites that you might want to use for reference materials. You can add all sorts of notes. You can add in meeting notes, all into that one note, everything in one place. And it really does work. I've been using this system for years and years and years, and I can promise you it's never let me down. Okay, that's what I really wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you very much for watching this episode. I hope you found it useful. I'll put the links to the Todoist video and my Evernote video that I did on this topic recently, so that for those of you guys who are using Todoist and Evernote, actually whatever system you're using, you can see it in practice. Just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.